Um, I have 3 stories, so if it gets long, just put me off the stage. I'll see if I can get through at least 2 of them. So about 20, it's been 25 years since I was in the Peace Corps, and I served in Lesotho. Does anybody know where that is? There's one that does, is raising her hand because she served as a Peace Corps volunteer in the same country. Imagine that, 2 people. What's the probability? Yeah, that's my job. So, so we're not going to go into numbers or anything. Thanks. So I spent 2 years in Lesotho, and it was an amazing experience. I was a school teacher there, and I lived in a small village. I was the only white person in not only the village, but for many miles around. And when I first got there, you're greeted by people, and you hear, especially from the small children, "Lahoa, Lahoa." I'm not sure if I said that right, but basically means white man. And it's like, "Oh, hey, this is great, nice to meet you." But then, days go by, and you hear "Lahoa." Walking across the village, Lahoa. Walking to the store, Lahoa. Walking to the outhouse, Lahoa. It's never quite that bad. But it's like you can never really relax. You're in a place where you're definitely standing out as a person. People see you, and they're well intentioned. I mean, really, it's not any malice that they have in their hearts, but it's just, I can relate to, people that if you're a minority and you're just in a place where you can never really relax just because you look different. That experience really, I think it just helped show me what people go through sometimes that are minorities. That
That's good.
maybe, for whatever reason, maybe it's the good and bad reasons people see your skin color and they pick you out. Maybe they're not bad reasons, but it's just hard. So I can relate to that. So we have a lot of people in our, especially in Aurora, that are recent immigrants and refugees, and I think we can reach out to people and really, you get to know them. Once you get to know the person, you forget about the skin color. So I just encourage us all to do that, just get to know people and relate to them. Another experience I had, this was actually 2 days ago. I went in to donate blood at National Jewish, and I'm kind of nervous about it, but it's never a fun thing to do, but I felt compelled to do it. And so if you've gone through this process, you know that you get asked a lot of questions to see if you're eligible to give blood. So I went through the screening process for this, and I got to a question that says, has any of your relatives had, I'm not even sure if I can say it right, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is a rare neurological disease. It's called CJ disease. CJD. So,
my husband died of that.
And it's pretty rare. It is really a pretty rare neurological disease, and my dad passed away from that. And so it was a screening question, and so I answered it, yes, my father had this, and he passed away from that. And so they pulled me up and they talked to me, and they said, well, we can't accept your blood because of this. And on one hand, I'm kind of relieved. It's like, okay, I'm not blood. But on the other, it's like, wait a second, what's wrong with my blood? My blood's fine, So you're kind of like, and really, they're just screening. It's not to say that there is anything wrong, but they have this process of screening. And I think that's a lot like profiling that people go through, and maybe even harder situations where we're either screened or profiled based on how we look or something physical about us. And there may be valid or invalid reasons for why that's done. But again, for me, it just, I think it helps me relate to people that have gone through that experience. And what I would say to people that, anyone here or anyone outside is, if that's happened to you, don't let it define you. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you. Just remember that God knows your heart and knows who you are. That's the most important thing. So the last story, this happened a couple weeks ago, and my wife, Linda back there, and I went through this experience that was just surreal. It was just unbelievable. We were sleeping. This is in the middle of the night on, I think it was a Friday night, and we're in bed there. We're awoken to shouting, "Stop! Freeze! Get down on the ground!" right outside our window. And apparently a man who, somebody had come in from a different neighborhood. He wasn't any one of our neighbors, but he had been on a shed, and police were trying to get him down. He may have been running away from a domestic violence incident or something like that. But he had run jumping fences and gone through in between our house and our neighbor's house. And this woke us up. The police saying, "Get down on the ground," just outside our window. We're on the second floor. My daughter's right below us. And they have guns pulled. And they're just outside her room. And so we had to go down and tell her, get to the other side. And of course my two boys slept through the whole thing. Everyone's here. Everyone's there, so asking if they were so the police, there was a standoff. Essentially, they had guns pulled, they had tasers, and fortunately the man did not have a gun, but they did have to tase him because he refused to cooperate. And from that experience, I know there's been a lot of things that we've heard about police and these stories, and maybe there's times when they've not done things correctly. So I don't want to speak about that because there could be issues that they need to work with. But in this case, the police, I thought, did actually a really good job. They took their time. They gave this man a lot of opportunities to comply, and he did not. So fortunately, they tased him. They did not shoot him, but they tased him, which apparently hurts really bad because he wasn't happy once he got tased. But then they were able to take him to the police station. They actually came in and had us fill out reports since we witnessed it. And whenever there's shots or taser being used, they need witness documentation. So that was just one experience I had. I felt like I should share it, that the police oftentimes are doing everything they can and they're trying their best. So, yeah.